In this week's drive, we see the car most likely to upset the Ferrari steamroller, sit in on a driver's worst nightmare, watch a new young winner emerge, and break some ribs twice in 7 days. All this and more in this week's Drive. On the 26th of September, China will become the newest member of a very exclusive club. The 16th round of the Formula One season will take place in Shanghai for the first time. Many of the city's 16 million inhabitants might ignore the Formula One circus visiting Shanghai, but when the race itself is run, 200,000 spectators are expected to attend and millions more will be glued to their televisions. The top man of the track thinks it will give the Formula One world a taste of things to come.
First of all, I believe Shanghai has built a world-class racetrack, and up to now, it is the best circuit in the world. And I think it has already been accepted as part of Formula One, and that will make a major contribution to the whole event.
There's even a futuristic monorail service to bring the fans in from the airport. Using magnetic levitation technology, or maglev, this train can travel at 430 kilometers an hour, eclipsing even the fastest Formula One machines. The grandstands use lots of red and yellow. In Chinese culture, red symbolizes luck, while yellow implies power, two things that every racing driver needs. And the stands are built in the shape of lotus flowers, typically Chinese.
They have a lot of medium fast corners, too slow corners, and I think it will be a challenge. And also, I think it's very hard to set up the car here because we have this long straight, and on the other hand, we have a lot of corners. So they need in the corners they need a lot of downforce, and on a long straight they need aerodynamic, and so we'll see.
The track was officially opened in June, and with the Chinese public never having seen a Formula One car on a track before, what better introduction could there be than the Ferrari F2003 machine, the car that brought another world championship to Michael Schumacher and the Ferrari team. But this time the car was driven by retired Formula One driver Gerhard Berger, and the Austrian thinks everyone will be pleased at how the track has turned out.
It's a very modern circuit. It's just every new circuit usually gets all the experience from the other circuit. So the last circuit is always the best. So it's a modern circuit, it's challenging, it's a great ambient here, so they're going to like to be here.
Built at a cost of over $500 million, the state-of-the-art 5.5-kilometre track boasts the latest in safety and electronic monitoring. Race control will use 40 cameras to keep an eye on every centimetre of the track. Kimi Raikkonen recently visited McLaren's futuristic headquarters in southern England to thank the staff for his second place at the British Grand Prix. McLaren came back to form at their home race with a pole position for their new car, designated the 19B.
Positive for all the team, everybody who's working, because finally we got some results after a very difficult start of the season. So it's only the second race for this new car 19B, so I think so we can definitely improve it and be even more stronger before the end of the season. So it's big thanks to everyone, and just hopefully we can still keep pushing hard and make even more progress.
After severe problems with their earlier car, Raikkonen was looking forward to developing the new car and attempting to take as many points as possible from Ferrari. But a near-catastrophic failure of the rear wing at about 300 kilometers an hour sent Kimi into the wall in the German Grand Prix. The Finn wasn't hurt, but his bitter disappointment melted his reputation as the coolest character in Formula One. The Italian Ferrari team need just another 3 points to clinch the Constructors' Championship for 2004.
The 19B is much stronger in all the areas. It's better under braking and has more horsepower on the engine and it's more reliable. So I think so overall it's better package, and if it goes as well as the first few races, I think so we have definitely good chance to win some races and catch up with on the points and construction championship. So that's the main goal, and we see what we can do.
Do you want any of the other circuits while we're at it? I think I've got the data now on Shanghai, which could be quite useful. It's very useful, isn't it, information?
A day later, Kimi and his Mercedes-McLaren teammate David Coulthard visited the factory at Untertürkheim near Stuttgart, where the engines which power their cars are built. Both were happy to pose next to the legendary Silver Arrow, but perhaps wishing the reliability and competitiveness that came with the old car had been with them in the modern-day version. Several other Mercedes-powered machines are in the museum, but it's the mighty Silver Arrow that has pride of place.
We have some small improvements which we developed in the test after Silverstone, and we're hopeful that we can take a step forward. But of course, you can never know how much of a step forward your competition has made.
The AMG tuning house was bought by Mercedes several years ago and specialises in creating high-performance and specially equipped versions of road-going Mercedes models. Raikkonen and Coulthard inspected some of the latest developments and even lent a hand to put one together before posing for photographs with the people who normally do so. Despite the wing failure, expectations are high among the Mercedes-McLaren family, and the more refined version of the car has been given the thumbs up by the men behind the wheel. Fresh from winning their 11th Grand Prix of the 2004 season, the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim, the Ferrari team and test driver Luca Badoer was still spending time testing new developments on the track in preparation for the rest of the season. The strategy of balancing the car's fuel load against its speed and the expected rate of tyre wear has become almost as important as the abilities of the driver. This was illustrated by Michael Schumacher being able to stay out of the pits for several laps longer than any of his rivals at Silverstone before his first stop on lap 15. This was just one of many advantages enjoyed by Ferrari, who have dominated the Formula One season, with Schumacher winning 11 of 12 races. The team worked hard on two fronts to give Michael a win on home soil at Hockenheim. While the championship leader and his teammate Rubens Barrichello were testing at the Spanish circuit of Jerez, test driver Badoer spent 4 days developing the car at Monza. Schumacher worked on the setup, tyres and aerodynamic components of the car, completing a total of 107 laps at Jerez. Only two drivers can still challenge Michael for the title, Rubens and the BAR driver Jenson Button. However, the likelihood of Rubens opposing his teammate is very slim, while Button would need to win all the remaining races and hope Schumi doesn't score more than 10 points. But given that the German has won 11 races so far this year, that seems unlikely. Schumi's latest win meant he equalled his own record for the most number of victories in one season, which he set in 2002. It was the 100th time that he'd started a race from the front row of the grid, and it also marked the 50th race that Schumi completed since last retiring as the result of either mechanical or technical failure.
It's an amazing season for Ferrari. We are just past the mid-season, so we have still 7 races. Formula One situation is changing very fast, and you never know. We are working really hard every day to keep the small advantage that we have from in the other team, and then we will see the end of the season.
Back at Monza, the testing and development went on, and the team's unsung hero, Luca Badoer, at least gets a halfway decent company car. Maserati is also owned by Ferrari's parent, Fiat. Already, 17 drivers are racing for second place at best, with only the top 3 mathematically able to claim the title. It will be a brave punter who bet against a 7th world title for Michael. Among the factories, the only real contest is for second, and to see who comes last. Right now, that's Minardi. A fun weekend for NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. nearly turned into tragedy when a crash during practice for an American Le Mans Series race turned his car into a fireball, leaving him hospitalized with burns on his face and legs. The accident came at the start of the 30-minute morning practice. Earnhardt lost control of his Chev Corvette, spun and slid backwards into a concrete barrier. The impact broke off the fuel filler neck, spraying petrol across the car and the ground before it ignited, turning the Corvette into a fireball. It was a total write-off. Earnhardt eventually got out of the car on his own as marshals dithered nearby. Remarkably, he only suffered second-degree burns on the insides of both legs and on his chin. Any crash involving an Earnhardt revives memories of the last lap crash at the 2001 Daytona 500 that killed his father, easily the most popular American driver of his era. Austrian Norbert Siedler made another poor start from pole position in the fifth round of the European Formula 3000 series at the Spa-Francorchamps track in Belgium. Fellow Austrian Bernard Aunger stormed into the lead, forcing Nicky Pastorelli of the Netherlands wide and onto the grass. Siedler had set a qualifying time a tenth of a second faster than Monza winner Pastorelli. Second-place Pastorelli could have taken pole if it were not for traffic. He was very fast on his second set of tyres, but got held up by traffic on the last corner and lost pole position as a result. The replay shows the aggressive move by Aunger in car number 15 to grab the lead. The top 6 drivers on the grid were all covered by 0.3 of a second. Only 13 cars made it to the start after problems hit Cristiano Tucca-Rocca. He was due to start 11th, and Maxime Hodenk also didn't start after failing to qualify. Aunger quickly pulled away from Siedler and Pastorelli, while further back a battle was developing between JVA teammates Alex Lloyd and Johnny Reid. Reid had appeared to be holding up Lloyd, and when the New Zealander made a mistake at the bus stop, Lloyd got past and quickly joined the battle ahead for second place, with Siedler, Pastorelli and Del Monte. The following lap on the approach to Lecumbe, Pastorelli passed Siedler and disappeared after Aunger, while Siedler continued to hold up the cars behind him. Eventually, Del Monte passed Siedler, who became increasingly defensive, leading Alex Lloyd to try a risky move round the outside. It paid off, and the Isle of Man-based driver moved up to 4th. Matthias Lauda retired from the race, bringing his car to a halt at La Source. He's the son of Austrian 3-time Formula 1 world champion Nicky, who has a commercial jet aircraft license and started his own airline after he retired from racing. Up front, Aunger was unchallenged and won his and the Euronova team's first race of the season by 0.6 of a second from Pastorelli, with Del Monte 9 seconds further back. Lloyd was 4th, with pole position holder Siedler 5th. Del Monte leads the championship on 38 points, with Pastorelli on 27 and Aunger, now in 3rd, on 17 points, ahead of Siedler on 11.
It was a really nice new experience. It was a long time ago that I won a race, and now I'm really happy to do it here in Spa. Generally, the start everything was really good. It was one of my best starts I did in the series. And after I was able to get a bit of gap between the other guys. But after Nicky pushed really hard, and I had to push as well like hell. But in the end, I'm really happy that I won the race.
We go offshore now for the British Class 1 World Powerboat Championship Grand Prix in the waters off Plymouth in the southwest of England. Ali Nasser and Ali Al-Khama in Victory 7 made the perfect start but had to hold their nerve at the first corner, with both Spirit of Norway, number 10, and Negotiator, number 50, applying the pressure. But it was Victory 7 who came out in front and led all the way to the checkered flag. Victory's qualifying time of 3 minutes, 12.32 seconds around the 5.25 kilometre lap knocked 3 seconds off their second run in a session interrupted by a school of inquisitive dolphins on the course. Ali Nasser was a little nervous from the start as the mist was coming in, but when they reached the breakwater, it wasn't so bad, and the crew claimed their 14th pole position. They were running around 100 to 140 miles an hour on most of the second and third laps. The Norwegian pair of Bjørge Jacobsen and Bard Ecker in hydrolift were in early retirement, costing them 4th place in the championship. Jotun's Bernhard Bellman and Jan Hillestad produced their best race of the season to take 2nd place, ahead of Altani and Nicolini in Qatar 96. 4th place went to the winner's teammates Victory 77, ahead of Nicola Giorgi and Mauro Asperto, in Rossoli Hotels taking their best result of the season with 5th. Following their setbacks in Lisbon and Alicante, 3rd place was an excellent result for Hassan Altani and Matteo Nicolini in Qatar 96. Despite a tremendous start and running 2nd for the opening laps, there was disappointment for Chris Parsonage and Peter McGrath in Negotiator, when a broken bolt on the trim ram ended their hopes. This year's championship is a truly international affair with teams and competitors from England, Germany, Italy, Monaco, New Zealand, Norway, Qatar, Spain and the UAE in 9 races across Europe, the Middle East and Asia. An emphatic start-to-finish win for Victory 7 put the team at the head of the Class 1 World Powerboat Championship after 3 rounds. After disappointments earlier this season, Bernhard Bellmann and Jan Hillestad in Jotun battled back from a poor start and revelled in the increasingly rough conditions that suited their boat to pass Qatar and claim second place. Victory 7 now leads the championship by 4 points from double winner Spirit of Norway, who retired in Britain. Back on dry land, but still in Britain, World MotoGP champion Valentino Rossi took time out from preparations to attend a special event held in Leicester Square in London. Introduced by BBC presenter Susie Perry, he was greeted by 3,000 fans, eager to listen and ask questions about his life at the top of motorcycle racing ladder and about how he liked living in England.
Yes, for sure. I live 2 kilometers from here, so it's exactly the second home. Yes, maybe the first.
Rossi went into the British Grand Prix at Donington Park at the head of the championship standings with 139 points. But Roman Max Biaggi of the Camel Honda team was just 1 point behind, and another Honda rider, Sete Gibernau, was third, just 13 points off the pace. The notoriously fickle English weather can often change at Donington, so riders need to be versatile. Rossi has a new weapon under development, a revamped engine, but it won't be tested and installed until the Czech Grand Prix at Brno, the round after Donington. Rossi was stripped of victory here last year for overtaking under a yellow flag, and his arch rival, who won last time out, would seem to have found the recipe for success.
We understood what we missing or what we changing. It was good or not, but now we are back on the way. We're back on road. I think we can see this championship with different eyes and perspective, because we know how to work better. We know what to gain from this bike and what to lose. So we're gonna make things easier. But of course, there is a competition, high competition. Every change or every mistake, you're gonna pay a lot for that.
Once out on the track, 4 times world champion Rossi was in devastating form in final qualifying. The 25-year-old Italian put his poor 4th place finish in Germany firmly behind him at Donington, breaking the circuit's outright lap record on his way to securing pole position, nearly half a second ahead of the chasing pack. Spain's Sete Gibernau, who led the championship earlier in the year, has dropped down the order after crashes in Rio and Germany. The Honda rider grabbed second place on the grid, but was unable to break the 1 minute 29 second barrier as Rossi had done. The Catalan edged out Loris Capirossi, who clocked 3rd fastest time. Capirossi's had a forgettable season so far. His 3rd place qualifying lap would be the first time a Ducati rider has started on the front row this season. Biaggi won here last year after Rossi was given a 10-second penalty, but this year Max could only manage 8th place on the grid. Alex Barros lost control of the treacherous Craner curves. The Brazilian recovered to qualify in 9th place beside Biaggi, but over a second off Rossi's pace.
Maybe it's possible to make a little bit better because I make a small mistake in a corner with the gear. I put the 4th instead of the 3rd, but I lost a little bit. But anyway, we are in pole position. I'm very happy.
Rookie Alex De Angelis' dream run in the 250cc category continued. The San Marino teenager claimed pole position with a storming performance just a week after his first 250 podium finish at the Sachsenring. Championship leader Daniel Pedrosa could only manage 4th fastest, but still on the front row of the grid. In the 125s, Andrea Dovizioso of Italy put in yet another strong qualifying performance. Leading by just 8 points at the top of the standings, Dovizioso was relieved to see his closest rival, Roberto Locatelli, battle on the track and slump down to 7th place on the grid. There was no relief, however, for Jordi Carcano, although the young Spanish rider suffered no serious injuries. Rossi had claimed pole position with a lap 2.3 seconds inside the lap record he posted during last year's race. But despite this, once the race started, Rossi was quickly passed by Loris Caparossi's Ducati and then Sete Gibernau and his Honda on the first lap of the race. By the start of the third lap, though, Rossi had reasserted his control, with Gibernau moving to second and Caparossi back to third. A rear-wheel slide nearly put Troy Bayliss and his Ducati down, but the Australian rider kept the bike upright and rejoined without losing a place. Norek Abe broke 2 ribs in a crash in Germany and then re-broke them here. Luckily, there's a 4-week summer holiday before the next race, so he can recover. His teammate, Marco Melandri, broke his thumb in practice. By the time he took the checkered flag, Rossi's advantage over former Superbike world champion Colin Edwards had been extended to almost 3 seconds, with Gibernau, a self-confessed struggler at Donington, and Colin's teammate finishing third. Nicky Hayden and Troy Bayliss were 4th and 5th, but Max Biaggi, who'd gone into the race second to Rossi by just 1 point in the overall championship, finished 12th. Rossi cruised to a 5th win of the season at Donington Park, where he had previously won 3 of the last 4 races in the Premier class.
So I'm very happy. This victory is very important, and because today the bike worked very, very well, so I need to say thank you to Yamaha and to my team that make a fantastic work. Also Mission, because the tire go straight to the end, and now we are in front, and I'm very, very happy.
Rossi is now 22 points clear in the title race, and Biaggi and Gibernau, who had both looked like title contenders at various points in the season, are neck and neck. Dani Pedrosa dominated the 250 race to take his 2nd win in a week. From 4th on the grid, the Spaniard grabbed the lead and gradually increased the gap over the pack. Aprilia riders Sebastian Porto and Randy Depunier completed the podium ahead of the pole starter Alex D'Angelis. Pedrosa, the reigning 125 world champion, now leads the 250 standings with 180 points after extending the gap over Depunier to 34 points. Porto remains 3rd, 52 adrift. In the 125s, Andrea Dovizioso extended his lead in the championship to 32 points over Roberto Locatelli after a dominant win. Dovizioso led the race from start to finish aboard his Honda, while the other title contenders, Locatelli and Hector Barbera, failed to make it to the checkered flag. Behind the runaway leader, there are several close fights for position down the order, with the ranking likely to change at every round. Next up is the Czech Grand Prix at Brno. According to research done in the United States between 2002 and 2003, there was a 70% rise in heat stroke fatalities among children who were either intentionally left in or forgotten in parked vehicles that got too hot. Across America, the national Safe Kids campaign are on the road to warn parents about the dangers of leaving children alone in parked vehicles.
We try to reach parents every day. Part of the ability to change people and the way they think about the problem is for the community itself to put a priority on it.
Until now, education efforts have been aimed mostly at parents and other people who transport children.
With the alarming number of fatalities recently, General Motors and the National Safe Kids campaign are expanding our message to reach bystanders. The message is, if you see a child in a parked, closed vehicle on a warm or sunny day, contact emergency services immediately, because every minute counts.
Most people will be unaware that a child's body temperature increases 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's, and their bodies are less able to dissipate the heat. So on a sunny day, even at temperatures as mild as 60 degrees, a closed vehicle can become an extremely dangerous place for a child in just a few minutes. So whether you're looking back to the future, track testing your leathers, or just swapping your company car, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.